Hello and welcome to UpLinguist 30-Day Challenge Spanish Edition, day number 2. PH words, like elephant, usually are simply translated to Spanish by changing the PH to an F. PH becomes an F. Elephant becomes elefante. You'll see that ANT words, you add an E. So this word here, elephant, actually utilizes two distinct rules. But for now, let's just focus on the PH to an F. Elephant becomes elefante. Repeat elephant with me, elefante. Teléfono. Repeat teléfono. Teléfono. Now, TH words, usually you just simply drop the T. Let's look at a few of those. Cathedral becomes catedral. Catedral. Try pronouncing that with me one time. Catedral. Author becomes autor. 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 Try pronouncing it with me one time. Author becomes autor. TION words become CION words. So shun becomes sion. The C is pronounced as an S. I is pronounced as an E. O is O, as usual, and N, sion. We have administration, which becomes administración. Administración. Please repeat after me. Administración. Demonstration becomes demonstración. Demonstración. Let's try repeating that one time. Demonstración. Devotion becomes devoción. 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 Repeat devotion after me one time. Devotion becomes devoción. TOR words in English become DOR words in Spanish. Tor becomes dor. Operator becomes operador. 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 Repeat after me. Operator becomes operador. Elevator becomes elevador. Elevador. Repeat after me one time. Elevator becomes elevador. Equator becomes Ecuador. The equator becomes Ecuador. That's actually where the country got its name from, the Spanish word for equator. CAL words in English become CO words in Spanish. Let's look at a few examples here. Logical becomes lógico. Lógico. The G, if you notice, is pronounced more like an H. Lo. HGI becomes HI. He, because obviously we know the I is pronounced as an E. And co. Co instead of co. It's a bit softer. It's co. Lógico. Mágico. Repeat after me. Mágico. Magical becomes mágico. ENT words become ENTE words in Spanish, such as president becomes presidente. President becomes presidente. Repeat presidente after me, please. Presidente. Accident becomes accidente. Accidente. Please repeat one time. Accidente. MENT words in English become MENTO words in Spanish. Let's take a look at a few examples. Instrument becomes instrumento. Instrumento. Instrument becomes instrumento. Please repeat one time after me. Instrumento. Monument becomes monumento. Monumento. Let's repeat after me one time. Monumento. And if you break that word down, mo, very similar to mow, like mowing your lawn, and that's the M-O. The N-U is pronounced exactly like the word new in English, the N-E-W, as in I bought a new pair of shoes. Men is pronounced exactly as you would in English as well. And then finally, the T-O instead of to becomes to. Monumento. Monumento. Repeat after me one time. Monumento. Next, A-N-T words become A-N-T-E words. This is citing back to the rule when we talked about elephants, where elephant obviously ends in A-N-T, and we added an E to it. It became, instead of elephant, it becomes elefante. Abundant becomes abundante. Abundante. See if you can pronounce this word with me one time. Abundante. Now, if you wanted to break this one down a bit, the first letter becomes A, which is similar to that hurt. Bun, or the B-U-N, it's boon, very much like the Boondocks, the cartoon. So we're now at boon. Don is very similar to the name Don, the English name Don, D-O-N. Abundan, and then you have te at the end. Abundante. Abundante, abundant. Abundante. Significant becomes significante. Significante. Repeat after me one time, please. Significante. And let's break down this word a bit. Let's break it down into the first three letters, sig, of the sig, S-I-G. The proper Spanish pronunciation, you would pronounce the S-I similar to the word see, like I can see very far with my glasses. And you would add the G, it becomes sig. The N-I becomes ni, like your knee, the body part. So far you're at sig, ni. The F-I becomes fee, as in a fee. I charged a fee for that service. So we're at signi fee. Can is pronounced very similar to the French city Cannes, where all the great films are presented. And then you have the ending te, which is a common ending for many Spanish words, which you should absolutely practice. And the pronunciation's a bit different than the TE in English. So we have significant becoming significante. Let's try that one more time with me. Significante. Significante. Okay, as usual, let's go into conversation time. We're going to have a brief conversation between two people, and we'll ask you to follow it. We'll give you some prompts along the way. See if you can keep up. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Estoy bien. ¿Y tú? Muy bien, gracias. ¿Cómo está tu familia? Mi esposo está enfermo. ¿Algo grave? No, solamente un resfriado. Lo voy a llevar a ver el médico más tarde. ¿Cuántos años llevas de casada? Estoy casada 10 años. ¿Tienen hijos? No, pero tenemos un perro. Se llama Sam. Now let's look at a few phrases that we just heard during the conversation. Muy bien. Muy bien means very good. Muy is very. We've heard that word before. Bien is good. Same as bueno, bien, buenas. Good. Muy bien. Let's try repeating after me. Muy bien. The English pronunciation of these words is quite easy if you're using sounds that you're common or that you're used to. The MU is moo, as in move, out of the way, or moo, a cow moves. The Y is just pronounced E, so it's muy, muy, muy. Bien, bi is spelled is it's pronounced be, as in the animal, or I'll be there soon. And then you just have an N at the end of it. Bien, bien. Muy bien, muy bien. Try pronouncing one more time. Muy bien. ¿Cómo estás? We've heard this before as well. ¿Cómo estás? How are you? ¿Cómo estás? How are you? The next word we have is familia, family, familia. If we were using our typical English sounds, the word familia would be pronounced fa, as in father, the fa from fathers, fa. The mi becomes me, as in me, like give that to me. So we're at fa, me. The li becomes li, like the name Lee, like the General Lee. Family, and then the a is a. Familia, 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 familia. Please try pronouncing that after me one time. Familia, fa, mi, li, a, familia. Esposo, husband. Esposo, husband. Try pronouncing one time after me. Esposo, esposo. Now let's try pronouncing this using English pronunciation. The es just becomes the letter s, so it's pronounced as s. The po becomes po. The o, again, we'll keep working on that bit by bit, but think about this. Think about saying, oh no. The o is basically the sound, or similar to the sound that you'd be using. So far you're esposo, esposo, husband, esposo. Try pronouncing one time after me. Esposo, esposo. Enferma, sick. Enferma, sick. The Spanish word for sick is enferma. Now you notice this ends with an A, so this would be a feminine sick. Enfermo would be a masculine sick. So if you're talking about a girl or a woman, she would be enferma. Or if you're talking about a boy or a man, he would be enfermo. The en is pronounced just like the letter N, so it's just literally N. Then you have fer. For the fair, think fairy. So we have enfer, ma, like mommy, ma. Enferma, enferma. Sick is enferma. Algo. The word algo means something. The English word something means algo in Spanish. And if you remember the pronunciation, the A is pronounced ah, just like ah, that hurt. L is l, al, go, go would be the end, not go, but go, because the O is pronounced a bit softer. It's pronounced O instead of O, remember that. So we have algo. Please repeat after me, algo. Grave, serious or grave. Something that is very serious is grave. It's spelled like the word grave, so it's pretty easy to compare it to the English word grave. Now, in pronouncing this word, the GR can be used or be pronounced similarly to what you're used to with great, grandiose, gr. The A would again become A, gra. The V is V, grav. The E is E. So it's pronounced E. Grav E. Grav E. Let's try pronouncing that with me one time. Grave or serious is grave. Grave. Okay, let's follow along with some basic conversation again. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Repeat. Estoy bien. ¿Y tú? Repeat. Muy bien, gracias. Repeat. ¿Cómo está tu familia? Repite, por favor. Mi esposo está enfermo. Repite, por favor. ¿Algo grave? Repite, por favor. Now it's your turn to respond. Let's see what you've learned so far. Hola, ¿cómo estás? How would you respond to this? Estoy bien. ¿Y tú? I'm good. And you? Muy bien, gracias. How would you respond to this? ¿Cómo está tu familia? How is your family? Mi esposa está enfermo. Mi esposo está enfermo. My husband is sick. How would you respond to that? Algo grave, something grave, something serious. Let's practice a few more words before we jump into another conversation. Solamente, only. The word for only is solamente. Now, if you're pronouncing this with English pronunciation, the SO would be so, like so, as in you're sewing something, or so what. La would be similar to the musical scale, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la. So we have sola. Men is similar to what you're used to. So far you're solamen. Te is te, as we've heard before. So we have solamente. Solamente. Practice after me one time. Solamente. Solamente. Médico. Doctor. The word for doctor is médico. Again, if we're using English pronunciation, the ME can be pronounced similar to meh, as in, how good was that movie? Meh, it was okay. D, as in the letter D, so DI becomes D, as in the letter D, so we have medi. CO becomes co. If you remember, the O is pronounced O. So you have médico. Doctor becomes médico. Well, pronounce after me one time. Médico. Médico. Cuantos is how many. How many becomes cuantos. Now, if we're to pronounce this word with our typical English pronunciation, the way to break it down would be the CU would be Q, much like Quebec. Think of that initial QU. That would be the way the CU is pronounced. Then you have AN becomes an, and think of the name Hans, and think of the sound that you make in the center of Hans. Remove the H and the S. The AN would be on. So far you have Kuan, Kuan, tos, the TOS becomes tos. Like, think of the word toast and just remove the T at the very end, tos. Cuantos. The only thing is that the T is pronounced a bit softer, so it becomes cuantos. Try one time after me. Cuantos. Cuantos. How many becomes cuantos? Años. Años becomes years. Años. Try pronouncing that word with me one time. Años. Now, the way to pronounce this using our English pronunciation, the A becomes ah, again as an ouch, that hurt, ah. The NY is pronounced really as ny once it has the tilde or the squiggly line above it. It doesn't become an N, it becomes an enye. The enye is pronounced ny. Think of the letter N attached to the front of the word yeah and pronounce that in English. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I've heard people use that. It's very odd. But think of the N and the Y in that pronunciation. Ny. Any. And then OS becomes os. Años. Años. Try pronouncing this with me one time. Años. Years. Años. Llevan. For the purpose of our conversation, llevan is have you been. Llevan can also be a word used for when a group of people carry something or bring something somewhere. However, for the purposes of this conversation, we'll use it solely for have you been. Llevan. The LL is pronounced as a J or as a J. So where you see the LLE, it's technically pronounced like JE, J. Like Jennifer, J. Van, V-A-N, is much, pretend the A is actually an O in English. It would be Von, such as the typical name Von Smith, etc. So Jevan. Pronounce this one time with me, please, now. Jevan. Jevan. The word for married is casados. Casados is married. Let's try repeating after me one time. Casados. Now, if we're using sounds that we're used to, the CA is probably one of the most commonly pronounceable sounds by most English speakers, and they don't even know it because most people know the word caca, which usually means poop. And that basically is CA, and that is the proper pronunciation of the CA, ka. The SA, then, as a result of the S being a S, becomes casa, and most people are familiar with that word as well, casa, which means home. Dos. Dos is technically two, so realistically what you're looking at is you're looking at the combination of two different words, casa, house, and dos, which is two, which means two in a house. And that translates to being married. Married is casados, and the proper pronunciation would be casados. Let's try pronouncing that after me one time. Casados. Tienen or tengo. Tienen or tengo. Tienen is do you have? Tengo is I have. Tienen, think of Tiananmen Square. Nen is men, but just pronounced with an N in front of it, so tienen. Tengo, tengo. Think of the word tango, but with an E, where the A would be. It becomes, tango becomes tengo. Let's pronounce both words with me now. Tienen, tienen, tengo, tengo. Hijos is children. Children are hijos. As you notice, the H is silent. As you know, and we've discussed before, the I is pronounced like the letter E in English. It becomes E. The J is always pronounced as an H, so it becomes E, ha. And then OS is os. So hijos, hijos. Let's try pronouncing that with me one time. Hijos, hijos, hijos. Pero means but. The word but, as in but I am a good Spanish speaker, is pero, P-E-R-O. Similar to the last word, the word perro, the word for dog, is P-E-R-R-O. In essence, you're adding a length in the pronunciation of the word R. So instead of pero, it becomes perro. So you're rolling the R just one more time. It's as if there are two sounds of the letter R. The Spanish language is actually quite good at being literal with regards to how you're pronouncing a word. You're literally using the sounds of each of the letters that are before you. So the difference between P-E-R-O, the word we just learned, being pero, for but this one being perro, for dog, is just simply the added R sound. Let's try pronouncing this word with me one time. Perro, perro. How is your R? If it's not the best, we'll be working on it to improve it. Let's try taking a stab at pronouncing this word. The double L is a ja. If you're, it's a j. The A is an a. The M is m. And the A again is a. So we have j, a, m, a. Llama, called or named. Llama could also mean just to call someone. Llama. Let's try pronouncing that with me one time here now. Llama. Now, as we've done before, let's repeat after me. No, solamente un resfriado. Lo voy a llevar a ver el médico más tarde. Repeat, please. ¿Cuántos años llevas de casada? Repeat after me, please. ¿Cuántos años llevas de casada? Estoy casada 10 años. Try to repeat that sentence. ¿Tienen hijos? Try repeating that question. No, pero tenemos un perro. Se llama Sammy. See if you can repeat that sentence. Now it's your turn to respond. No, solamente un resfriado. Lo voy a llevar al médico más tarde. ¿Cuántos años llevas de casada? Estoy casada 10 años. ¿Tienen hijos? No, pero tenemos un perro. Se llama Sammy. Thank you for having joined us on day 2 of Uplingua 90-Day Challenge, the Spanish edition. Please log in to the Uplingua platform at this point and see if you can practice some of the words that you learned today.